Hello and welcome everybody to twitch.tv/randommania, where we are on the road, on the highway to the Threemus zone. We have got CrimsonAvix on your left, we have got CoffeeAndChocobos on your right, and I'm not going to lie, CoffeeAndChocobos in the world, and we have CrimsonAvix here as well. But enough about that. I'm TGE, I am with Commander Leonhardt.
I'm doing good, Greenleaf. Glad to be here with you. So, yeah, CoffeeAndChocobos has already notched 2 wins in this initial group. If he's able to take down CrimsonAvix, that puts him straight to table. Meanwhile, CrimsonAvix looking for a win here to guarantee at least the Magma group and still keep that straight road to table alive.
Yeah, it's always fun when you've got 2 undefeated people going at it, no matter what you're talking about. Free enterprise, baseball playoffs, football. Undefeated matches are always a blast. This is going to be no exception. And we do have our objectives on the screen. And these are an interesting set of objectives here.
Yeah, complete the sealed cave is always spicy to see. Warp glitch means you don't have to run that route to find the key item, but now it might be part of getting to the crystal. Vanilla Ribbon Room puts us up on the moon, and even if it is a favorite spot to check with 2 key items, you still sometimes would rather just not visit the moon at all. And then, as kind of a slight bone here at the end, we have defeating the boss of the Mist Cave.
So let's be honest, this is a find the other 2 objective seed because Mist Cave is free. That's a free objective.
Yeah. I think the worst thing I've ever seen in Mist Cave is when the Alt Gauntlet showed up, and it's like, well, I'm sitting through you because you're an objective, but Seed, you're a jerk.
Right, I mean, and at this point, seeing that the Mist Cave is an objective, I know that, chat likes to see Schadenfreude, some place where it's going to be blocking a key item, but Alt Gauntlet at the required Mist Cave objective, I'm down with that.
Yeah. Although, not as bad this time because we have an edge start, so just wave a little bit of ninja magic and you'll get through it faster than you normally would. But here we go. So, okay, give us a white mage.
Hey, absolutely nothing wrong with that. I know Krim is going to be very happy because I've had conversations with him. I know he is a big fan of Edge, and the earlier the better. I'm pretty sure CoffeeAndChocobos is going to be the same way. We got physical DPS, we got healing. You really can't ask for a much better start than this.
No. It's a great start, and while I'm sure that the runners are going to check in on some of the free characters to see what else they can have in support for this party, it is definitely a great beginning. But we're getting underway now. They could go a few different ways with this. They could hit Mysidia for characters, they could immediately take on Baron Inn with this ninja, or go straight to the Mist Cave objective. And it looks like CoffeeAndChocobos going for the Mist Cave and CrimsonAvix going straight to the inn.
Yeah, Krim going to check out what's there. We got a mage, we got some orbs there, but more than likely Krim is here in Baron right now just to get the treasures and to loot Baron. He'll come back for Baron Inn later, and we've got some dolls in the Mist Cave.
Even if it wasn't an objective, don't kind of lukewarm on dolls here. In some later spots they can be rude, but it's not the worst thing in the world, so having them out of the way, kind of middle.
Yeah, and having Edge here playing just, roast the dolls, we're good, they're fine, we're good, objective done, we're good.
But apparently Sparse 60 has struck the Mist Cave hard. At least the one chest that was there had something good, a heroin rope, says chat.
I mean, we've already started with a white mage, so getting a heroin robe early, can't complain at all. Krim probably going to do the same thing. I was going to say probably going to do the same thing heading over to Mist, but looks like we're going to go ahead and check out the Damn Cyan Waterway instead.
Water Pass is another spot that on T Wildish has better loot than some other areas.
And there's also more ninja.
Hey, if good, 2 is better. Eventually, it will break down, probably around 3.
Yeah, I do want to point out though that that's definitely the most I can't even think of the word I'm looking. Just because I'm not sure if you saw the name, that one's edgy.
It is edgy. Got a long sword in the waterfall, so that's a start for getting the ninjas going. And a mute knife in a weapon shop.
By the end of this, people are going to be want to be using the mute knife on me.
Don't leave me in here doing this alone. Nobody wants that.
I mean, I'll still be here. They just won't be able to hear me.
I didn't catch if that was another edge and bad pyrolite. It was too fast for me.
I also did not check that. I was too busy checking the looting of the castle here. And we've got, well, again, Ogre Axe.
Ogre Axe, great axe. Also, conveniently one-handed for shield use.
I mean, nothing wrong with that. I mean, I played D&D. I'm not a sword and board kind of guy. I'm a give me a staff and let me sling spells. But you know, if you want your axe and your shield, I'm not going to stop you because every wizard needs a good tank. And speaking of wizards, we've got a bard.
Bard's also lovely for the D&D land and his vanilla location here. Gambit thinks it was a dark night in the Kaipo bed, and it was a flash of blue. We do seem to be agreed on that.
So it's something.
Go ahead.
So it was just something in the bed. That's all we know.
Well, knew that going in. Long swords for sale. And I believe, was that also a Thunderclaw? We'll get a look real quick, but if so, this is a one-stop shopping here in Troya for powering up ninjas.
I mean, you would think the one-stop shopping would be in Eblon, but, you know, we'll take it. Yes, that was a Thunderclaw.
Nice. So, long swords, Thunderclaws, and a mute knife. These ninjas are prepared for a wide variety of threats.
And I mean, we all know, if you've watched any free enterprise before, you know Thunderclaw, aside from the Cat Claw and Yang, is the best claw you have because more bosses than anything do have that thunder weakness, so it's fantastic to see early.
That's a bold take on that Cat Claw. Mind you, I love me a good monk, wrecking face with claws. Yang can get very beefy.
What can I say? I'm a cat person.
I support that.
In fact, mine is laying right next to me, giving me this look of, Human, why aren't you petting me? And then when I go to pet him, why are you petting me?
My cats aren't going to show up for probably hour and a half, 2 hours, wondering why I haven't fed them.
So we've got half the twins here in Mysidia. We've got Palom T and Cecil 4.
And with the Porum we started off with, that's going to put Twin online.
I mean, not a bad team right now. If I'm Crim, I'm considering right now, you know, seeing what's at our deals with Twins, Ninjas, and a Cecil. That's a very strong team.
Right. Cecil is a much more controversial decision with vanilla agility on. Some people, like myself, I will take Cecil and carry him around hoping to find one of those holy swords, and some people just kick him to the curb right off the bat, and probably wiser people than me take a middle road.
Now, I don't know how Coffee and Chocobos will handle this, but I do know that in Crim's first race, there was a Rydia at the package that both he and Kainari Housewife left, and carried everything, and at the very end of the game, before Crim went to fight Threemus, went and picked up that Rydia to be an anchor. So don't put that past him as to find a character sitting someplace that's going to be super low level and to go back and pick them up afterwards.
Yeah, and that's a good play to have a character in a spot that you can just leave lying around until it's convenient.
Also, speaking of things that are convenient, we've got our Antlion boss check, and it was the Luca key.
Well, that will allow for one of the objectives to be completed once our runners get underground, though they might put that off for a little while. It's one of the rougher boss spots around, and making that long walk just to have to reset out and come back later might not be too appealing.
Yeah, 100%. But at least at that point, that means, having the Luca key, and especially in a spot you're going to check, means at this point, you're really only a darkness crystal from the theoretical go mode, because that will get you what you need. And it's trying to find one item as opposed to trying to find two for the adamant and the legend sword. That being said, if you're going to carry around Cecil, adamant, legend sword, forge it, get the cockle shop, there are pros and cons to each one. But getting that early Luca key does put you in one item in go mode.
Oh, and our runners are converging on Hobbs. They see Patlum. I don't think CrimsonAvix even got as far as seeing the wyvern, but CoffeeAndChocobos did at least check the sparkle and knows that a wyvern's there.
There are worse spots for a wyvern to be.
Right? You just stay right up there on that mountain, and I'm not going to worry about going to battle speed 3 every time I come across a boss.
Yeah, and that is good information for Chocobos to have. On the simple fact that now he does know, doesn't have to worry about that. Crim is still going to be, is this wyvern? Is this wyvern? So it's not going to affect, but that information is still good to have.
CoffeeAndChocobos, rewarded for going amongst the Chocobos and looting, finds a black belt in the Choco Forest in Baron. Granted, the ninjas already come with black belts, but there's a decent chance that someone's going to come along that would enjoy wearing that, and if not, it sells nice.
It does, and we have an antlion as well sitting in the inn.
Slight migration.
Yeah, but we've got a couple of ninjas throwing things, so not going to be the worst case scenario here.
No, dart doesn't trigger the counter the way the fight that was just used does, and also one of the great things about a starting edge is he comes in with a lovely 790 hit points and can handle a few shots from overworld bosses.
And 2 for 2 on that, because that's our underground access. So that's fantastic starts here for CoffeeAndChocobos.
Yeah, knocking it down real fast.
Based on what we've seen here, I know that CoffeeAndChocobos in the last race that he did had a winning time of 1 hour and 10 minutes. The way this is going, we might even be faster than that.
If the Darkness Crystal shows up soon enough, then we could very well be. That's going to be the catch. Is that Darkness Crystal somewhere rude? Or is it going to show up just as conveniently as these 2 keys have?
That is a very, very good question. And we have CoffeeAndChocobos immediately turning in the Magma Key to get full underworld access, which, this early to have the option to go north-south, perfectly fine. Crim has not gone to the Baron Inn yet and fought the orbs, so he does not have the option to do that. Now, the question here is, if you're Crim, do you go fight the orbs at Baron Inn, or do you go to Mount Ordeals and get yourself a paladin?
Those do seem to be the 2 obvious cases. And we get our answer, as CrimsonAvix is landing just outside of Ordeals.
Yeah, now this is going to be another one of those things that could be very swingy, because CoffeeAndChocobos has no reason to go to Mount Ordeals right now. So if this turns out to be a Darkness Crystal, for example, then that could swing something in a different direction.
And that could be especially swingy with Vanilla Tella on Mount Ordeals. Find a Tella and a Darkness Crystal in the same location, and your D-Machine grind is on the table. And even though that requires a new manip with the advent of can't run being included in these tournament flags, I'm pretty sure that CrimsonAvix can handle that.
Potentially, we do have a job dwarf over on Coffee and Chocobos side. That was an artist's agent, and we've got the Baron Guard up at the top of the mountain first.
Well, this is where having a mutant knife on hand would make this a little faster, exploiting the mage type that the Baron Guards are, but in this spot, I don't think CrimsonAvix is going to have too much trouble.
No, not at all. We have a very interesting, I missed cave here. We have a dive into the land of the Eidolons over on Coffee and Chocobos side.
It's a good loot spot. Not only is it gated underground and therefore stepped up a notch, but there's the trap chest lurking in here that makes looting even more dangerous. A lot of times with that early magma key, which we've had here, this can be a quick chance to get some higher quality loot than you've had access to.
And we have all of the Baron peons showing up here on Mount Ordeals. Now we've got, I would say, the officer and some gentlemen, but I don't think that's the case. And hey, that's an Excalibur.
Okay, so out that Cecil.
Yeah, unfortunately for Chocobos, he don't have a Cecil yet.
Well, you could throw the Excalibur at somebody. You could sell it for a decent amount too. There's options. You can't ever be mad at seeing Excalibur. As far as this Ordeals goes, I think the correct finish to this would be to find Bygone in the tomb.
Bygone, Kainatsu would work as well. Although the Gauntlet would also be appropriate.
It's the only wasn't here in the back attack spot. I mean, 6 different times you get attack from behind. Pow, pow. And speaking of rude, look at that Fey March. We've got the Pain Man himself in the Leviathan spot and Odin in the Asura location.
Yeah, but the one thing about the Pain Man being there that Coffee and Chocobos does have a huge advantage with is he's got a bard. He can hide and cheese that one.
That is a very good point.
And it's funny you bring up Odin. I was just going to bring up the fact that Odin in that back attack spot is one of my favorite things to see because he just backs off the screen to attack.
Yes. The slice heard round the world.
Also, shout outs to Mini Cecil right now. Also, Crim did pull off a couple of life glitches there on the officer and the gentleman, and we're going to get a package here inside Mount Ordeal. So that is going to open up another character. Unfortunately, it's going to be one of those where we're going to take a look at it, and there's probably nothing that's going to be worth it. Although, the Hobbit here is kind of thematically appropriate, isn't it?
Somewhat. As we watch miniature Dark Knight evolve into large Paladin.
So that's what happens when you use a Sunstone.
You know?
Now I'm cross-gaming here.
Package was the key item from the tomb, so not the spicy darkness crystal we were hoping for, but could still be useful.
I mean, it's not one of those things where like you're not happy to see it, but it's one of those things like, okay, it's something, it might unlock something. In this situation, we don't have a specific boss we need, so I mean, it's always fun when you have like defeat this particular boss and it's gated behind the package. That's always a fun thing to see.
Mm-hmm. Although Pyrolite in chat is pointing out that there's always that demist possibility.
And that, you know, that leading the darkness crystal and or the other half of the legend sword.
With as many races as are being restreamed, then sooner or later that demist is going to be required.
I think the best one I saw was during the last set of Free Enterprise tournament stuff, and it was a required demist in the CPU spot in the Giant.
Oh, I remember. That was, oh, yeah. One of the classic goals.
Yep, it was fantastic. I mean, I say it's fantastic because I'm a gigantic fan of Schadenfreude. Also, we have a sub over on Coffee and Chocobo's side, which is a fantastic thing. You have the double edge. You can go ahead and get your sneak on, which is the steal command. Just steal a bunch of sirens, and you can get your egg grind on if you prefer that over a D machine.
And a lot of times on this set, it's the better play. With easy siren access, it does take time, especially with Can't Run On, to get the D machine set up. Just scrambling eggs or going to the moon and taking on gold dragons or warlocks can often be quicker.
The other unfortunate thing about the egg grind, though, is it kind of sets me up for making horrible, horrible jokes.
Well, we wouldn't want you to be scrambling for commentary, so we'll just accept that egg jokes are on the way.
Yeah, we're the crack team here, everybody.
Just, go over easy on us. It's been a long day.
And we haven't even gotten to the grind yet, y'all.
Oh, we're right there.
But Crim going to go ahead, take out his antlion, pick up another white mage, and more importantly, underground access. That is a magma key. And well, here we go, everybody. Get your puns in chat. Get your puns ready, because we are going to go ahead and scramble up a few eggs. Over hard, over easy, poached. You make your joke. Go ahead. Now is the time to do so.
Coffin's a lovely thing for an egg grind. You don't want to smack the dragons around too many times. One time they come out and hatch, and after that they start rocking you with thunder. So Coffins are a very heads-up play to get the first bit of levels when you just aren't quite strong enough.
I mean, free experience is the best kind of experience. I mean, you're getting 34,000 every time you go ahead and decide you want to throw something sunny side up. Down with that.
Yeah, the coffins are wonderful things to use, and I'm let the results speak for themselves.
Excellent. Also, I love the fact that we're in the middle of this egg grind, and we're talking about all these different ways you can prepare eggs, but Edge just learned an ability that's also an interesting way to prepare them. Smoked. And I love the fact... Yep, I do love the fact that... I'm not sure how this restream is going to show up on YouTube when it's watched later, but for those of you who are watching on YouTube, I do not put the chat. Just know that chat is in two complete phases. There is 50% of the chat that is all aboard with the egg puns, and there is 50% of the chat that wants me to get scrambled instead. And I am firmly on the side of the 50% that keeps egging me on.
I'm with them. CrimsonAvix has dropped the magma key into the well and is heading underground and is starting off in Tamra.
I mean, we've got Bacchus wines and Star Veils there. Star Veils a little less needed, but the Bacchus wines, that is a huge thing to know where those are.
Yeah, just not having to have your white mages take a turn to zerk you up, and also being able to use it while having a wall on is definitely a big deal.
Now we'll see if Crim is going to do the obligatory check the job dwarf, because, you know, if he doesn't check the job dwarf, there will probably be a riot in chat. I know there will be one in the commentary booth.
I've seen some people that are just determined to have their heal status. They will walk into this room, loot it, and ignore the job dwarf completely. And there's no better way to fire up chat, but CrimsonAvix does show us the artist agent.
I mean, there is definitely another way to fire up chat. I'm sure I can find more horrible puns to make. But as it is, we're going into the Crim side, so he's going to find the Excalibur, which he's going to be able to make much more use of than CoffeeAndChocobos did. On the other side, CoffeeAndChocobos, we're going for Objective 2. We are heading into the Sealed Cave.
One of the rules, check your objectives. The main reason to not check an objective you have access to is if you don't think you can handle it, but after taking care of those eggs, CoffeeAndChocobos doesn't have that excuse anymore and is on his way down.
I mean, and at this point, we've got 2/3 of the balanced free enterprise breakfast. We've got the Bacchus wines, we've had the eggs. The only thing we're missing is a couple of apples.
Apples also sound tasty. I don't know of any dishes that involve apples and eggs, though.
I mean, apple pie involves apples and eggs.
Fair.
You just don't
How
think of
often
egg.
Commander Leonhardt cooks, and that is
As evidenced by the fact that before we went on air, somebody admitted to having pizza delivered.
tasty pizza.
And now chat's gonna hate us because we're making them hungry.
Hey, you know what?
So now we... Go ahead.
Our key item, found not by the warp glitch, is a hook.
But this is the more important part, is what is the boss here? And not going to lie, doesn't matter what boss is here. Dean Lunar is fantastically fabulous here. I love this. But this boss fight in particular, I despise this location. Not because of whatever's at the location, because you have the D-Wall music playing the entire time, and it's obnoxious as all get out.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yep, I know. Of course, this coming from the guy who, if every single boss fight had Dancing Calbrena music, he'd be happy, and that music and song is very creepy, so.
Dancing Calbrena is good music. You get it as a second remix when you go up to the top of the tower to deal with the Mad Doctor.
But I mean, if we're talking music, the one is we all need some twin harp, right? I mean, that's what we're hoping to find somewhere.
Absolutely. We'd like to see it during the race, but one of the best things about the new version of Free Enterprise is that once you beat a seed, you can load up a save file and go straight to Eddie's hospital and play the harp from the room directly.
That might be the best change that has ever happened to this randomizer.
Give chat what they want.
Yes, and I love how we've, moved on to calling the race. Chat, meanwhile, has segued into appealing apple puns.
There are enough people in chat that love their puns that you just give them something to roll with and they will carry it on.
I mean, these are golden and delicious puns, so. And since the debate is chat, I will throw it out to those who might not be a part of it, those who want to put their comments in the YouTube comments, and even you. What is your favorite from Final Fantasy IV? Like I said, I'm a big fan of Dancing Calbrena, but also Within the Giant is fantastic. But up to the rest of you, what's your favorite soundtrack?
There are a lot of good ones to choose from. For me, I'm going to go with the Red Wings. I love In particular, the fact that it gets played again in the lunar subterranean and you get to listen to that nice marching tune as you are marching your way down to Zeromus.
That is a very good tune for marching down to Zeromus. And we have a dwarf castle here, and we've got some sisters happening there, Cindy, Mindy, and Sandy.
The Magic Sisters. That's the name of my group, actually. And here they are, dancing to the beat.
I do want to point out, as we are discussing our favorite songs from Final Fantasy IV, there is no wrong answer to that question, because that's one thing Final Fantasy does fantastic. Doesn't matter whether it's the NES games, the SNES games, the MMO games, any of them, the soundtrack is usually pretty banging.
Yeah. The word's hard. I agree. I completely agree.
Although we do have our center Edge H, dying to a Lit 2 off the Delta attack on Crim's side, as we are slowly making our way out of the sealed cave on Coffee and Chocobo's side. That is the only downside about the sealed cave, is you have to walk out, or you can warp up by floors. You can't just exit out because of the way the cutscene works in the vanilla game. So we have the long, boring walk there, but that's 2 of the 3 objectives on Coffee and Chocobo's side already.
Yeah, Darkness Crystal is go mode, or alternatively, the long way to go mode would be a Legend Sword, an Adamant, and a Pass. Coffee and Chocobo's trying for a quick, cheeky loot in Sylph Cave, but gets hit with a trap chest right away, but undeterred, goes for the chest right next to it and gets a Stardust Rod.
In Stardust Rod, not the worst. We do have, looks like some more Mega Sisters action happening here, because they didn't want to die the first time.
The magic is pretty powerful in this spot, so it's going to take a little work to get through, and also if you leave Cindy around long enough, she will revive her fallen sisters.
I mean, sure, that too. We did go ahead and find out where Yang is, so we'll be able to report that back to Sheila. And I was going to talk about that because you have the Yang getting hit with the pan sound effect. Then over on Crim's side, we had the virus animation. Those are 2 of the best sound effects in the game. But I will fight in Dog's Hill. Palom smacking Porum, or Porum smacking Palom in the head is the best sound effect in the game.
Having checked in with Yang, Coffee and Chocobos heads up to Fabul to at least get a double dip out of it.
And we have Ashura. This is one of those things where I'm always happy to see a fight like Ashura here, where it's a pretty low HP boss spot, because, well, frankly, it's not that the Ashura boss is hard per se, she's just annoying.
She can be rough in a lot of higher hit point spots, like you said. You've got to do a lot more work to deal with her. There are some lifelock strategies that you can use, but if you can just grab a mute knife and say, here, have 5,000 damage and call it a day, that's always convenient.
Also, over on Crim's side, defeating the Mage Sisters has unlocked Quack Kid, so we've got that going for us, and we have to go over on Coffee and Chocobo's side from the King, so that is interesting. Also, speaking of interesting, that's the Valvalis. And a conveniently timed cane.
That works. 99% chance of this cane being taken.
Yup. They say timing is everything.
Though, admittedly, if you've got to take Val in one of these 2 spots, please put her in the back spot where she's got about 1/3 of the hit points to cut through. But yeah, that's a lovely time to see a Dragoon.
Absolutely it is. I was about to make a comment about the fact that we really want to see Kane here, and then, oh, hey, look, there's Kane, and all is right with everything again.
And while we're a little caught up in that irony, MechaLink in chat is pointing out that Sheila handed over the TAS, not the Darkness Crystal we were looking for, but, you know, maybe all of Excalibur is on the Earth, and we'll be surprised that the Vanilla Ribbon Room is left alone.
I mean, Haunted Moon is never a bad thing, although we have the Earth Crystal, which means we do have access to this mountain of treasures here in the Treasury in Toira. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at what's in there. We've got a creepy hand going in them here in Dwarf Castle, so let's see what we're going to get rewarded for here, and some of the chests are there. Hey, that's a Masmium. And a Murasame.
Shirt. White shirt as well. And a cursed ring. Pretty good, pretty good.
Yeah, especially having a couple of ninja swords, the curse ring. That is a fantastic treasury. Crim, on the other hand, queue up your Price is Right failure buzzers, because that was only a strength ring.
Did CrimsonAvix warp glitch? Granted, with Complete the Sealed Cave on the table, it's not the end of the world if not.
He did not warp glitch?
Might not even be able to.
He can't,
Black Mage is a Palom.
Well,
might not have had the levels for warp.
Well, Palom got dismissed for Kane, so Palom doesn't exist anymore.
Right. So it was not even an option.
Correct. The thing I do like here is, over on Coffee and Chocobo side, is keeping that Edward around for an agility anchor, because he keeps killing off the Edward. So having done the level grind, this seems to be the final party Coffee and Chocobos is going to be going for here. It's going to be interesting to see how Crim decides he wants to choose his final party, but, you know, enjoy all of the ninja action you're going to get here, because we have got 4 edges, and that is a lot.
Not all in the same party, thank goodness. That would be tough to.
I mean, that just screams. Although at that point, I would need to find a way to hack in and rename all 4 of the edges Raphael, Michelangelo, Donatello, and Leonardo. I was also really hoping that this is going to be Kainazzo in the Tower of Zot, so I can make another turtle joke, but unfortunately, I can't believe it's not Baiga.
I'm just going to have to let bygones be bygones with that then. Maybe Kainaz will be in the next spot for you.
I mean, it would fit, you know, with the theme we've seen so far. Baigon and Kainazzo, they're in the same section. We had all the Baron stuff up on Mount Ordeal, so it all fits. But we do have our Siren grind going on over on Crim's side, as he is doing the same thing we saw Coffee and Chocobos do earlier. Sirens off the alerts. And go ahead and make sure everyone you need to be alert, because the world does in fact need more alerts.
Can never have too many alerts.
Nope, not at all. And
taking no chances with the anchor situation has Eddie use a coffin on himself.
I mean, that'll get the job done. And we knew we were going to see Valvalas up here on top of the tower, because we saw it down where Crim already took care of that. And we do have an old man sighting.
It's our second Tala sighting of the seed. He was in his vanilla spot. And while it's vanilla for him to be lying on the ground in this particular location, it's not vanilla for him to stand back.
And we've got more Dark Knight action as well. We've got Cecil. Or is it Cecil? Which way do you pronounce it?
I pronounce it Cecil.
Okay. I go 50-50. It looks like we're going to have Tella switch in for Eddie here. So now it wouldn't surprise me if we do see Coffee and Chocobos make the run up Mount Ordeals.
Does, however, slip Kala out of the anchor spot, since he's still in a spot that's relatively low agility. He's happier having a fast anchor here. And we've got our bonus round.
I mean, bonus round is always fantastic. If this bonus round happens to lead to the Darkness Crystal, even more fantastic.
Well, that gives Earth Crystal 2 outs to providing value. The key item check in Cecil's room afterwards, and Iridia's mom immediately after.
I mean, personally, I want this to go to Legend Sword and Adamant as both the item checks, just for maximum value.
That would be pretty amazing. We could also hope for Darkness and 1/2 of the Legends of the Excalibur Forge to make it required.
That is true.
It's time for CrimsonAvix to start cooking with some eggs.
Well, we all know what that means, everybody. I know it was over hard for you all the first time, but we're going back for round 2 of egg puns, so...
And, well, there's 1/2 of the Forge, Adamant.
So that is... We both got 1/2 of what we asked for. Now the question becomes, who gets the second half, or do we get what Chad asked for, and that's the...
Here it comes, and drum roll.
Oh, hi, Crystal Sword! Hi there!
It's not required, but if you've got a paladin on hand, and if not, it's a good chunk of cash.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Coffee and Chocobos, there is no paladin involved there. Crim, if he does go there, is going to love that. But we do have more eggs being cracked over on... They are hatching into some yellow dragons. Not quite as efficient as the coffins that you saw Coffee and Chocobos using. Although, for the egg run, we should have been calling them coffins and chocobos. That's bad on me for not going there. But we've got a tower climb here, and we've got more eggs.
Missed opportunities.
Only because Chocobos doesn't have a paladin. Because Miss Dragon left the crystals. Anyway, moving on, we're calling the tower.
Up the tower goes Coffee and Chocobos, making another check, looking for either Darkness Crystal or Legend Sword at this point.
I mean, at this point, based on the knowledge that we have here in the booth, if something isn't here that makes progress, we hear of one of those horrible, horrible bosses down in the Feymarch.
A bit more horrible for him now that he's dismissed Eddie for Tella. Eddie definitely would have made Dark Knight Cecil taken care of as long as he could get out before the first wave.
Yeah, the one advantage that, at least for the Odin fight there, is that Thunderclaw that's on sale in Troya. That's going to make Odin a lot more manageable in that spot.
Definitely. Exploiting that lightning weakness, maybe even super lightning weakness. I wouldn't know that one for sure, but...
I think it's both. I think it's a lightning weakness, and then I believe if you... sword, there's a small subsection where you can hit him with Lit 3 and it's an instant kill.
Yeah, if you can get around, if you can survive 2 Zantatsukins and all of the punches associated with that, then when he raises his sword, if you smack him with any kind of lightning spell effect, I believe, you get the insta-kill.
I'm not that brave. Although one of my favorite strats here is the relative agility strat. If you have a high enough speed and then you berserk somebody, your count will never hit 0. So I absolutely love that strat there. We saw it there from Coffee and Chocobos with a couple of edges just going to town. And, well, we have proof of our courage.
Yes. Rat Tail is proof of courage, picked up after a long ordeal. Now we're going to fly it off to an island and receive our reward.
Wait, are we playing Final Fantasy 1 or Final Fantasy 4?
We're playtesting a new randomizer shuffle. You've heard of Super Metroid Zelda 3, but now you've got Final Fantasy 4, Final Fantasy 1.
Give me all of that, pump that into my veins, please. Because now there is a small part of me that wants to be exploring the moon while the Sea Shrine music is playing in the background.
Good choice.
Sea Shrine is objectively the best track from the original Final Fantasy, although Gurgu Volcano also is right up there.
CrimsonAvix, care of objective, going after these lunars. Coffee and Chocobos taking a moment to restock their siren supply on the way out from the tower.
Those lunars, you say? All right, we got those lunars, we got some sirens, so, I mean, nothing wrong with that. We've seen 3 of the 5 lunar bosses now. We've seen the lunar dragons, we've seen Plague, and we have seen Wyvern. So that still is everyone's favorite pasta product still out there and available.
Koto, the Nope Noodle.
I prefer to leave it alone, Linguini.
That's another option.
There are plenty of that, although Ogopogo is also the palindrome pasta.
Yes.
And now we've got our fair share of sirens. We are taking the long walk down the tower and hoping that this rat tail that we acquired at the top of the tower is to continue on our progression and not have to go fight any of the horrible bosses.
You'd have to say Coffee and Chocobos is in the lead here. In a moment, both runners will have 2 objectives taken care of, but Coffee and Chocobos has just been more efficient working through this and has cleared more checks and has less ground to cover to try and find go mode.
That is a breath attack that hit all 5 of Crim's people, and we have got some silenced and confused toads, and unfortunately he's gonna have to take the reset there.
You hate to see it there.
Absolutely do, but at least he now we've got a rat tail turn in over there, and
Yep, it's a pan, and it's gonna open up 2 more checks as we are on the start of a chain.
We are, absolutely.
Or will it be a rabbit hole?
I mean, a rat tail hole, I guess. But the other thing to keep in mind, you mentioned that Coffee and Chocobos is in the lead, and theoretically with what we know so far, yes. But this pan chain leads to nothing. Coffee and Chocobos, do you check Dwarf Castle and or Mount Ordeals before the Feymarch bosses?
Really? Coffee and Chocobos has steered away from that rough Feymarch, and if there's no value here, then yes, he will probably end up retreading ground that CrimsonAvix has already visited, and that would give him a chance to catch up.
Yeah. The only reason I specifically bring up Mount Ordeals in this scenario is because he is running with a Tella. Now, you're using Tella 100% as your agility anchor in this scenario, but do you still want to have access to his full arsenal of spells for the little bit of time he's going to be alive in the Threemus fight? But it doesn't matter because there's the...
And I think that's going to answer your Ordeals question, because if he wants to do a D-Machine grind, he's going to have to walk up the mountain.
Yeah, but turns out that that rat tail, the tower climb, turns out to be what is needed here. So, oh boy.
Keyless Tower is the play, as sometimes happens. It's a little rude when it does. A lot of people, in their search for efficiency, will fade a Keyless Tower similar to fading Fabul until they at least can do Sheila 1, hoping to get that double check. But if it's what you need and the tower key is hidden rudely, then that can punish you.
And that's the gamble you can play with some of these seeds is, you know, do you want to try and be as efficient as you possibly can, or do you want to go with available to you? Either way, the giant whale is being raised from the whirlpool of the ocean, and we are on the moon. I promise I can use words.
Yeah, definitely on the way to the moon. Cannot be going to giant without an ordeals check. But a little bit of shopping first. But expect Coffee and Chocobos to at least zip on up to the moon, see who the character is, and check on the shop before moving along. Ninja Debugger is asking what the chain was to darkness. Keyless Tower had the rat tail had the pan, and Pan Bonk got the sylphs to hand over the darkness.
Unfortunately, Prim still having some issues with the D-Lunars here, and struggling like most people do, because Battletoads is not a fun game to play.
I've heard rumors, and I don't intend to experience it personally, but looks like you only had one wall up, and when that happens, you do run the chance of only getting one toad set up, and if you don't cut the other one down that is still a dragon, then you're going to get back to those reflected viruses.
Yeah, which unfortunately is pretty bad. Although if it keeps hitting the toads, scenario. If it hits Cecil,
they weren't doing anything for you anyway, but this is looking rough.
Yeah, if it hits Cecil, he's in deep trouble. Is good. We are going to make it through. I guess considering the amount of dead toads we see here, can we call this Turbo Tunnel?
Sounds fair.
Fair enough. That is 2 objectives on Crim's side, but he is very much way behind. And hey, it's Rosa!
The only time you turn down Rosa is when you already have a mage with levels, and as we see, even then, sometimes people will still take Rosa. New Rosa versus level 39? Wait, did Coffee have 2 porums? Is that
Coffee had 2 porums, yeah.
Oh, well, then that makes perfect sense.
I have 2 porums, switching out one for a Rosa.
I can live with it. You've got one white mage here that has your spells and levels and is ready to go, and you'll be able to slingshot Rosa off of whatever your grind plan is and get her caught up, and she just does a much more impressive job of surviving big bangs. She has much better HP growth.
Yeah, from the looks of it, though, I mean, we have the Siren, so that means, yeah, we're going to go here. We are going to get some grinding, and in Warlocks, somebody in chat called Warlocks, so if you called Warlocks, good for you. You win a prize. I don't know what the prize is, but you win it.
And before Demarine shows up, oh, hi, Demarine.
She did, hi.
I have to point out that at the beginning of this, I was quite happy to see Porum alongside Edge.
And I would like to point out Porum. We just said 1 Rosa and 1 Porum. And by we, I mean me. I'll take the full brunt. We're now going to go ahead and do the gauntlet spot, the Assura fight, and this is going to bring Crim to the Earth Crystal setup as well. So wouldn't surprise me if he does Earth Crystal as opposed to Tower.
Yeah, if you faded Fabul before going underground, which is a perfectly normal play, you don't want to do that for too long. You're going to make your Sheila 1 set up and get back up there as soon as you can to take care of those 2 checks.
Also, we haven't pointed this out yet today, and I just noticed it with all the talking, but we've got the Lavender Rosa palette, and it is beautiful.
It is. There are a lot of wonderful palettes for these characters designed by our very own Scala Kitty, and Lavender Rosa is definitely one of the great ones.
Lavender Rosa, personally, is my second favorite. Wonder Woman Rosa is my favorite.
That's a great choice. My favorite edge is probably Sub-Zero, and to no one's surprise in this room, my favorite Rydia palette is the Renoa palette.
Imagine why.
I don't know.
But yeah, Crim is going to take his Earth Crystal over to Troyer. Going to discover the fantastic treasury, especially for the team that he has going. And the only good thing going for Crim if he goes down this chain is he will end up with a.
Getting that adamant is at least a thing. Finding a tiara in the small treasury, happy to see that. Although the inventory boss takes full revenge. Not only does he have to go into the menu twice to sort it out, but each time he does, all the doors are closed and they have to be reopened.
Oh, that's the worst.
Inventory boss, the most powerful boss in this randomizer.
Inventory and menu boss is the most randomizers and most games. There's a reason that there have been several events where blindfold menus have been incented as menu boss.
That's just mean.
Hey, if getting someone to do a menu blindfold is going to raise money for a good cause, I am all for it. Especially if they're willing to do it.
I mean, props to the person that's willing to put themselves through that, absolutely.
Yeah, Crim looting the fantastic armor, getting a couple of the ninja swords, the crystal gear. So yeah, that is, especially with him having the Paladin and Cecil there, fantastic. And he is opting to warp out of the armory. Looks like he's going to save first. I'm like, what is he doing? He's
opting for a different check. Earth Crystal to him, it looks only like one check. He doesn't know that the D-Mist is there. So rather than hiking all the way up the tower, it's going to go for a different option, and he takes Keyless Tower.
That's the correct option here. This is a huge play for Crim. I don't quite know if it's going to be enough to catch him up, but this is a huge play and the correct.
Yeah, it's going to put him down the chain to the Darkness Crystal, and it might also be that the part of the reason that the tower was calling to him is that he wants to get a hold of his sirens while he's here as well. And it looks like CoffeeAndChocobos is done fighting warlocks, at least for the time being, if not completely. And can be on the way now to the Ribbon Room to take out the third objective.
Yeah, and the part is, what is the boss here at the Ribbon Room? There are still a couple that could be problematic per se, although we have done a bit of grinding. We have a grinding here. But this is sort of going to be the big thing is, what is this boss? We haven't, I know I mentioned earlier, but I kind of want to see some leg.
Leg would be great. Ogopogo we're cheering, of course. All the Gauntlet on the Moon is always a bit rude. Or we could just have a zombie.
No. I got a little excited for a second because I didn't see the name, I just saw zombie, and I'm like, oh, we're going to get leg tease. No.
Nah, afraid not.
But yeah, this even though this is a pretty easy boss, I'll consider. You have a couple of white mages, you have access to the blink spell. This is pretty free.
You're right. If you're feeling really cautious, those ninjas are probably high enough level to blink themselves, but CoffeeAndChocobos sees no need for that. Immediately gets them zerked up for slicing, and we'll be through this without any trouble.
Zerked up for slicing. I'm totally stealing that for an indie band name now.
Go for it.
That's a fantastic name. I'm totally stealing that.
But you called it earlier.
Yeah.
You were saying that CoffeeAndChocobos had already knocked down a seed in under hour 10. This looks like it could be close to that.
I mean, I'm not... Okay, if that's the case, this is under an hour and 10 minutes, you're going to have to do the interview by yourself, because I'm going to go buy a lottery ticket before everything closes. Bucks, I will just do a giant gift sub bomb here in Randomania for everybody.
That's the crystal for CoffeeAndChocobos. In case anyone here wasn't familiar, only 3 out of 4 objectives need to be completed to receive the crystal. That's one of the flags for this tournament. So if you were a little confused by us not being concerned at all about the Legend Sword, well, that explains it. And after a quick save, CoffeeAndChocobos is heading down, and we see some flags showing up in chat. Greenleaf, they have
yes, we do.
Question marks. Apparently, there are sleepy questions. No, wait. What's going on?
Sleepy questions I'm perfectly down with, but if this is your first time ever watching Free Enterprise, see, there's a couple things. And we've already mentioned the randomized twist and heart music, but we also like to get other things and other games involved. So is the Threemus sprite, and we have a question that we like to ask here, and that of course would be whose butt are we going to be kicking today?
And we will be finding that out shortly. Meanwhile, Dusty Griff, thank you for coming on by with the raid. You've come in at just the right moment.
Yeah, so this is interesting. Crim, unfortunately, did die to plague up at the top of the tower. So he's doing some rearranging here, and it looks like we're going to be going for round 2 versus plague. CoffeeAndChocobos, on the other hand, getting to the Threemus fight at pretty much right around the hour mark. This is going to be fantastic to see. Using an Anchor Tela, doesn't have a lot of magic, does have the double white mage. It's going to be the edge show here, but more importantly, let's see that sprite. And we've got Death Gaze, or Doom Gaze, depending on your translation.
Here it's Doom Gazemus.
Not going to lie, the first time I ever played Final Fantasy VI, this guy was a pain in the butt, because I ran, didn't realize it did, looked away, and next thing you know, why is my whole team dead?
You're just flying around, and in your own business. And suddenly, a wild Doom Gaze appears.
Well, what happened? Well, I got mode 7.
And the edge is not where CoffeeAndChocobos is going to want that initial nuke coming in off the nerf.
No, we do have a lifestyle
ready with Porum on a Cure 4, and so that edge will still be standing after the nerfed Big Bang comes in.
Yeah, fantastic timing there. Crim is going to go ahead and take down Plague at the top of the tower. So he is going to have his rat tail, and if he follows that chain, he will be on his way to the moon. maybe too little too late here. Let's see how things go over on the Doomgaze fight. Doomgazemus fight, excuse me. And there is the aforementioned Big Bang.
But not so big as it normally is. That was a pretty mild one. Coffee and Chocobos might go for a nerf of the second one, might not. Just depends on how he feels about it. I'm not at all worried about Rose's ability to withstand the Big Bangs at 2100, but Edge would be a little close. A very high rolled Big Bang could put him very low on it.
Yeah, and then of course it's the HP leaks that's the real big concern here, because you end up with that the nerf big or the high impact Big Bang, you get like 50 HP left, and the it's off the heal.
Yeah, that's the catch. And he's not going to go for the nerf, looks like. He's just going to be sitting on the Cure 4 waiting. Might have gotten a phase tip, and looks like he's decided that yes, he's gotten Doomgazemus onto phase 2, and that there won't be another Big Bang incoming for a little while.
Oh, we've got some shaking Doomgazemus there as a Cure 3 comes on from our other right, just to top off, just in case something bad happens. But Crim is over in the tower, gonna go ahead and steal some more sirens.
And the Edges are handling that Big Bang just fine. 1700 was the biggest damage we saw on either of them, so they will keep on slicing.
Honestly, that second Big Bang there was going to be really the big one. And yeah, we knew that Porum wasn't going to survive that, but the Black Hole's coming. We got to just free Berserk here. And in theory, unless something absolutely crazy happens, this should be a even faster seed than we saw last time with Coffee and Chocobos.
I think the only real danger would have been the Big Bang to Meteo, but as we see the rocks, that option is even gone. And it looks like you're right.
But yeah, that is fast here. 1 hour and 5 minutes.
1:05:10. That's gonna be fast for any run on this flight. GG to Coffee and Chocobos.
I mean, that's one of those things where if you're over there, you see the dot done, and the only thing you can do is just sit there, smile and nod, and be like, "Yep, that just happened."
Yep, Coffee and Chocobos, gonna Coffee and Chocobos.
Yeah, it's actually funny that this happened, because I was talking with CrimsonAvix before this, just getting insights and all that, and the first thing he said to me is, "Yeah, I just watched the last race that Coffee and Chocobos did. It was 1 hour and 10 minutes. There's no way I can win." Well, turns out he did.
And we're joined by Coffee and Chocobos here. GG. Very well done.
Thank you, GG's.
So, I mean, 1 hour and 10 minutes in one round, and then one seed. Now 1 hour and 5 minutes. Do you schedule these knowing you only have 1.5 hours to do these, and you got somewhere else to be? Is that what's going on here?
Yeah, come to think of it, I'm late for my 8:15 coffee, so. No, I happened to get really lucky with the last couple of seeds that I got. The last one handed us the Darkness Crystal on a platter and a quick Tella, and this one just dropped 2 edges and two small children that could cast Berserk in my lap and said, "Hey, here's your Berserk party, go for it."
Can't argue with that logic.
The only snag was I didn't find sirens for sale anywhere, but with 2 edges, you can just rapid fire steal them so fast that it's almost more economical to just do the stealing anyway and save the money for something else, like the stack of coffins I had to buy.
coughing up your eggs to get your first grind going, coughing in your Edward at one point when you thought he would be the anchor. You certainly made good use of them.
Oh yeah, I had a slight bit of regret about that, about going away from the Fey March when I saw a DKC. I thought as I was getting out of there, why don't I take on that DKC and hide with Edward real quick just to see what's behind there. And I thought, maybe I'll come back to that if it's the last thing left on Earth. Turned out it was the Legend Sword, and that might have sped things up. I am on record as saying I don't like Eddie strats. I'm not a huge fan of them, but I would have been willing to give them a shot. That might have been a little bit faster than what I did, but I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out.
It's hard to imagine this seed going faster.
Yeah, I mean, we've had one that hit, 48 minutes or less? I think Dia might have had one even faster than that, like 42 minutes.
Either a fantastic seed. Do you want to report real quick? Speaking of the Fey March bosses, we do have Crimson not fighting DKC, but instead opting to go after Odin. We do claws on edges, so at least we can deal some damage, but...
Yeah, and Odin will sit there with his sword up for a surprisingly long time, especially if you've managed to slow him. So, Coffee and Chocobos, congratulations. You join the list of people that are 3-0 and can start working on table flags.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'd like to say that I can take some time off, but I have done a couple of practice table seeds, and man, are they brutal. So I'll be putting in the work to try and improve my game there. That's for sure.
It is a huge shift in going from the one flag set to the other. So I have no doubt, though, that you're going to pick it up and put on some fine performances once table is here.
Well, fingers crossed, and I'll put on my Chocobo racing gear.
I mean, since we're on the topic, there is a very important question that you know, I don't know if to ask it, but I personally want to know your answer. It's quite simply, Wark or Quack?
Wark.
Here's a fact.
Gotta work hard.
Here, Randomania. Sorry.
Gotta ask the tough questions here, absolutely. and I have to say, I am firmly in agreement. I am a big fan of Wark as well. Mostly because of nightmares of Qua and the Chocobo Hot and Cold game in Final Fantasy IX.
Oh, yeah. I remember pecking in the same spot 10 times and not finding anything, and then you peck in the same spot the 11th time, and there's the item you need.
Yeah, you're just like, how? Why? What?
At least you get to listen to lovely music the whole time.
Indeed.
That is true. And I don't know how we're going to follow that question up.
I was really going to go with the standard. Any last thoughts, Coffee and Choco?
No, I'm just relieved. I'm glad that I do get a little bit of a break, and it's been the Valifor group is a sneaky good group. I would look out for all three of these folks in the upcoming Magma and Hook pools. They're all great, all improving quite a bit, and I look forward to more matches. Big thank you to Randomania for hosting us tonight, and thank you again to the Restream and commentary team and the trackers. You guys are awesome.
Well, thank you for agreeing to be restreamed and for putting on a fine show.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And good luck again in the table.
Thanks. And take care.
And CrimsonAvix has made a couple of attempts at this Dark Knight to try and get through. Dark Knight does not play around in this spot.
No, and yeah, Crim consistently bashing his head over this Dark Knight. It's actually going to be very interesting if he does manage to pull this off, because as we just heard and saw on Coffee and Chocobo's side, this is the Legend Sword. So this could lead him down a completely different path than we saw Coffee and Chocobos go down.
Yeah, he's got the rat tail option, which, as we know, will eventually lead him to darkness, and he's got the earth crystal, which we know will lead him to adamant. So the Legend Sword here could give him forging an Excalibur, but it looks like he's done with this particular torment and is moving on.
Looks like he's going to attempt to make even more delicious breakfast foods, as more eggs are going to be getting cracked here.
Well, he's got 13 sirens, so that should be enough, even though he's not at 10 key items yet, to get him to wherever he wants to be. So could just be a hit point boost before diving back in.
I mean, he does know the relative damage that Diesel is going to do there, so entirely possible it's exactly what he's looking for.
Yeah. And while we've got this on, I'm going to like to bring up something that didn't come up in this randomizer. Limgar Zach in chat is pointing out that they had a hook seed that was gated by Pain Man. One of the logics of this randomizer, unless you turn on a specific flag, is that certain bosses are not allowed to be your only way underground. And oh wait, nope. Pain Man is only that when you have no free bosses on. Never mind.
And for those who don't know what we're talking about, this might be the first time you've ever listened to a free Enterprise seed nickname the community has given to the Dark Knight Cecil boss that you normally fight in the Crystal Shrine on top of Mount Ordeals.
And because of the pain he deals out that we saw at the Leviathan spot. And yes, Possum Morpheus, on normal flags, Val, Wyvern, and Golbez are the only bosses that are not allowed to block your only route underground. Also, you'll never have to go down to the basement of Baron to get underground either.
No, but I am a big fan of an early hook going down there and seeing one of those bosses gating your underground access, and then the look of, oh, I have to go find it somewhere else now. It's always fun.
That better to realize it than to beat your head on a Vivalis because you've forgotten about that particular logic or never learned it. But Avix seems happy with their hit point levels now and is going to go give another shot at to the Pain Man.
Although I'm not going to lie, one of my favorite things, just doesn't gate but is absolutely ridiculously painful, is Ant Rubicante spot, because oh my gosh, is that fast?
There's a lot of rude options at that Rubicante spot. Not just the Pain Man, but Kainazo. I've had some fun with Kainazo there. The King Queen spot will get you too. Evil Wall at King Queen Eblin is another rude possibility.
But as it is right now, Dark Knight Cecil try, I believe this is 64, but my numbers could be off a little bit.
If it was me, I would have stopped counting a long time ago, because that kind of information is not going to encourage me.
Who said I was here?
That would be why I said if it was me. But yeah, these waves are hammering in at 1,200 apiece, and
not quite fast.
A little faster or a little slower battle speed to get that last elixir in. You might be able to make this happen, but it's going to be tight. And sure enough, take that battle speed down to 6.
Well, I mean, at this point, if he doesn't have the fingers fast, and
Wave 1. Slip a Cure 2 in. Nice.
I mean, the other possible option here would have been slip a jump in. But there's the elixir, so we are going to go ahead and survive our Dark Knight Cecil here in the open spot. Crim going to go ahead and what we know is be rewarded with this Legend Sword.
And he can cross Feymarch off the list of things I have to do and never want to do again.
Yep. Although we missed it during the interview with Coffee and Chocobos, but Crim did Odin down here as well, and completed our trifecta of our balanced free enterprise breakfast because there was an apple on Odin.
Hopefully eating that apple will improve his speech, give him the silver tongue. Not that I think he needs.
I mean, I'm down with that. I don't have any apples in my fridge, although I do have blackberries that are waiting for me when this is done.
Nice.
Apparently, Crim did go ahead and turn in the rat tail. We must have missed it in the process of the Threemus fight because he is going back to the land of the Sylphs. He's going to be very, very disappointed with himself when he comes across the Darkness Crystal here.
That's true. It's going to be rough. Check your freebies, folks. Always check your freebies.
But I guarantee I know exactly why he did what he did. Because at the point where he saw the dot done, he probably thought there was the early Edward, and that Coffee and Chocobos used the Eddie strats we had talked about to go ahead the Dark Knight Cecil out of the way early. I would put money on that would be a...
That's a good thought, and certainly not something that had occurred to me, Greenleaf. When you're doing these races, you can absolutely keep an eye on the race channel and see the dot done, and based on the knowledge of your opponent and what you've seen in the seed, try and guess as to how they got through. But as we've just saw, that can backfire sometimes.
And we hit the healing pot in the dwarf, and as if we didn't get enough of the wisecracks already, we are going back for even more quiche.
I don't know what's dragging on more, the puns or these grinds.
Also, speaking of that, I'm extremely disappointed for you under the bus a little bit here, because we have someone whose username involves coffee, and we didn't make a coffee grinds joke at all.
Yet another missed opportunity.
I know, I'm very disappointed in myself. That just means I have to sign up for another Coffee and Chocobos race.
Well, you're gonna have to wait a while for that because Coffee and Chocobos is through to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. So on our egg grind here, I do want to go ahead and give a shout out to the people behind the scenes who make it so that you see all the visual happen. And so a shout out to our restreamer Smafety and our tracker behind the scenes, Zoe Vermillion. As you can see, follow them in chat. We've got Smafety and Zoe there. Make sure to give them some love, because without them, without the people behind, you guys don't get to watch this, we don't get to talk about it, and we don't get to make horrible puns. So thank them for at least two of those three things. Also, feel for them, because they have to hear the puns that I'm making time before the rest of you do.
And thank you all for sticking around to watch this race and to listen to all of the puns. Especially thank you for those of you in chat that joined in with us.
Yeah, one. Right, Crim has gone ahead and is allowing Cecil. He's pretty comfortable with where we're at if he's going to be using Cecil for his agility. I want to get any more speed on that Cecil. And for those wondering what I mean when I say agility anchor, the quick and dirty summation is, in the vanilla game, Cecil is always in your party. So, feed, and specifically in this case, Threemus, is going to be keyed off of Cecil's speed. So, I don't know the mathematics behind it. I just know is that's what a deal does. So, that's why when you hear people talking about agility anchors, we're talking about, in the scenario of you don't have a Cecil in your party, like you saw with CoffeeAndChocobos, it reads the center character speed, which is why you saw that low-level teller with the cursed ring in the center spot in CoffeeAndChocobos section. Someone who is much more tech-savvy than I can probably explain the algorithms and the mathematics behind it, but suffice to say, that's the general idea.
Yeah, and the faster your anchor is, the slower everyone else is going to be. Not just your opponent, but everyone else in your party. So you want to get Threemus to a tipping point where you've just slowed him down, and then stop increasing the agility so that you don't slow your party down anymore. Once CrimsonAvix does take care of his leveling, he's not going to have any problem with his Threemus. He's got 2 more melee characters than CoffeeAndChocobos had, and an Avenger for one of them. So the Z fight won't present any problems.
No, it absolutely should. The amount of levels he's definitely odd Zerker route here at this point. The only thing he on Porum to survive Big Bang.
Right. And I suspect that Crimson is going to go into this looking for enough damage per round from the Zerkers so that he only sees the initial nerf to Big Bang and gets the phase tip to happen before a full force Big Bang comes in.
That would 100% be my assumption as well. But we've seen it once, we're going to see it again. So if you feel so desired, stand up, relax, stretch, and enjoy the second of the Big Whale cutscenes. So our big whale has risen to the top. Now, here's the question for you. We know that it's Rosa on the moon. Does Crim take Rosa over his leveled up Porum when he gets there?
He might, because that would answer the one thing that was a concern, having the White Mage survive. If you take Rosa, you still have the Ribbon Room to deal with its 100,000 XP, which will be doubled. There's a effect in this randomizer that we refer to called slingshotting. And the way that works is if you have a character that is at least 5 levels below the median level of your party, all of their experience is doubled. So if you grab someone late, they can catch up fast. And we saw from CoffeeAndChocobos' fight that Rosa gets hit points a lot faster and is a lot more likely to survive the unnerfed Big Bangs. So this swap could be very valid.
That's going to be the big thing here is, if he has leftover Sirens, and, well, he's choosing to not take Rosa here.
No, says he's happy with his party and he's going to go for it.
I mean, you just put him into grinding up Porum's HP. It's not a bad choice.
No, it could go either way, and I don't question this decision at all.
Be extremely happy that it's an easy, quote-unquote, easy boss here at the Ribbon Spot with just Scarmiglione. And yes, I'm calling him Scarmiglione because I just want to say Scarmiglione.
Does he do the Fandango? Oh, wait, no. My bad.
As long as we get some Thunderbolts and Lightning, we'll be good. Exactly, Smate. Thunderbolts and Lit 1.
That works.
We promise we haven't gone off the deep end too much, people.
No more than we already were.
No, not at all. And I promise I am practicing safe deep end jumping. I'm wearing my floaties.
Are they decorative in any way? Are they ducks? Are they chocobos? What are your floaties?
Anyone who knows me and my motif, my floaties are 100% bananas.
Too easy. I will work on getting people some banana floaties. What that means is now I think I need to talk to my artist about getting a banana floaties for an emote. There you go. Are you going to go talk to the job dwarf about an agent, or is that not something that...
Yeah, I think I will definitely hook them up with a job.
Employ your local job dwarf.
Speaking of, when Job Dwarf showed up as one of the Threemus sprites, I died.
Oh, God. That is one of the greats. I'm the final boss!
Yeah. Like, there has yet to be a bad final Threemus sprite. There are some, people will have their favorites, people that will prefer. I remember when I first started watching Free Enterprise, there were 4 separate seeds in a row. And no, this wasn't Seed of the Week and watching the same people do it. 4 separate, distinctly different seeds in a row, where Threemus all 4 times was Scar from The Lion King.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Threemus really wanted you to be prepared.
He did. My favorite one, though,
things about that job dwarf, taking this back a step as CrimsonAvix picks up their crystal, is how wonderfully the box for I'm a final boss lines up with the Big Bang and the black hole boxes.
It really does. It's so perfect. The other thing I do want to point out is the first Free Enterprise seed I ever watched. And this is why this particular Threemus sprite holds a place in my heart. It was the regular Threemus sprite, but it was the HD version from I think it was the PSP. So it was just D, and it's just the zoomed in HD version of the Threemus sprite. That is my favorite because it was the first one I ever saw.
There's something special about your first time.
Very, very much so.
As the crystal, CrimsonAvix has exited the lunar subterrane and returned to Earth. I confess that I did not see this coming.
He's going to buy Bacchus wines.
Ah, good call. Good call, Greenleaf.
It took me to see him where he landed to figure it out, but...
Big old stack of 10 coming in for that. And very heads up by CrimsonAvix. You run around looking at all of these shops, and there are so many other things you're having to try and keep track of during this seed that to be able to have that on tap, very nice.
And she has graced us with her presence. We're talking about all of these Threemus sprites, and the lovely and wonderful Scala Kitty is the mad genius responsible for all of these fantastic Threemus sprites.
Over 450 of them, and before too long, we're going to have to say over 500, I bet. And also, having the pass makes this dip down to Earth not nearly as bad. You can wander in directly from Troya.
That we can absolutely do. Oh! Crim thinks
this doesn't work until you beat the seed, Crimson. We appreciate the thought, though.
Yeah.
We appreciate how much you want to be a man of the people. And I dare say this means that after the credits roll, Crimson will be giving us music.
Would not surprise me in the slightest if he did.
He's going in. He's got his Bacchus. He's got his fighters. He might even go for a Quint.
I mean, potentially, but we have a Porum.
It's for the memes, you know?
Fair.
Plus, wasn't there a heroine robe lurking around somewhere in this seed? I mean...
Cavern. I don't know if Crim explored the Mist Cavern.
It is time to put an end to most of the speculation and to actually get into the fight and see how it goes down. I like it. She can Quint if she wants to. She can leave her bro behind. Because if her bro don't Quint, and if he don't Quint, then he's no bro of hers.
Yes, I love it!
Thank you, Zoe. Because I would not have come up with that on my own.
Nope. Again, shout outs to our trackers, Zoe Vermillion, for giving us that for the night, everyone. Also, I want to point out that I love the fact that we are getting super Threemus fight because Edgy is in the middle.
Yes. The edgiest of Threemus fights.
Also, I both love the fact that that's a thing, and I hate both of you because it's stuck in my head now.
Success!
That's okay. The worst thing I've ever had stuck in my head, there was about a month-long period when I was working at a hotel as a bartender, where for some strange reason the song Sister Christian was stuck in my head. So I'd be out in the kitchen grabbing stuff and I would be humming it constantly. I finally get it out of my head after a month. I walk back into the kitchen and the chef starts blaring Sister Christian on the radio back there.
Well, the only thing to do when you have a song stuck in your head, Greenleaf, is to replace it with a different song. Da 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 da.
So I have a story about from another broadcast. We are continuing. We have our berserkers happening here in the Doom Gaze Miss fight, and unfortunately, we did not get the Quint. We only have the quad, so. Okay, fine. Since you've all been good, I'll give you the quick Lamb Chops play-along song. So we're gonna go back probably about 10 years or so, back when my sister was still, in like elementary school and all that, was doing the after-school camp. So I go to pick her up one time, and she's there, and there's a couple of other kids, and I know a good portion of the kids who are there because I coach them in Little League. So I don't know exactly how the conversation got on, but I taught them all the Lamb Chop song, and then happily walked out because I was thinking my sister. I knew the guy who ran the program, and he calls me up and goes, "Are you planning on picking your sister up today?" Yes, why? He goes, "Good, I'll be waiting for you, because we need to have a conversation." Like, okay. So I show up, I'm like, "Hey, what's happening?" He goes, "I've been told for this." And he just looks and goes, "Okay," and the entire place starts singing the Lamb Chop song. All I can do is laugh. So of course, then my reaction is I look at all of them, I'm like, All right, who ratted me out? And you know, like those things you get in the cartoons where everyone points to someone different? That happened.
Nice.
It was fantastic. And then my sister looks at me and goes, "Thanks, you embarrassed me."
Nice. Very nice.
Yup, it was great.
Between the earworms and the puns, Zoe might never agree to work with us again. We'll just have to.
Yeah, I love it. And we're talking about Disney songs and Frozen here. Everyone, talks about Let It Go as their Frozen earworm song. That one doesn't bother me because I love Idina Menzel, but more importantly, there's a very important question as we have the Rock's face here, and that's, do you want to build a snowman?
Question. But CrimsonAvix did do, as we were hoping, got through with just the nerf to Big Bang and had enough power in the Zerkers to take it down with only seeing rocks. GG CrimsonAvix. This is going to put him at 1-1, but it certainly isn't the end of the road for him. Another win puts him in that Magma group, and even if he falls to 1-2, the Hook group is waiting, and it's going to send 2 people to the table.
Of course, there's a part of me, I hear the Hook group, and my first thought is, okay, bring me Peter Pan. No love for Dustin Hoffman at all? Nobody?
Rufio.
Thank you!
Rufio.
All right, so CrimsonAvix has declined to come in for an interview, so that's pretty much going to do it for us here tonight. But fear not, do not worry, because there is going to be much more free enterprise coming your way, as we are going to gather all of you up in one nice, neat little big whale, and we're going to send our big whale over to the free enterprise channel, because there is a submission race in progress, and from what I hear, it's brutal, because it started before we did, and it is still going on. So
that's going to be rough.
Yeah.
Thanks once again to Smapedy and Zoe for taking care of things behind the scenes. Thank you all for hanging out with us. And Greenleaf, thank you so much for working comms with me. It's been a blast.
It has been. Yeah. Keep hailing, everybody, and good night.
And of course, thank you, CrimsonAvix and Coffee and Chocobos, for putting on the show.